My name is Margaret and I am 68 years old. The day my son Daniel and his wife Jessica threw me out of my own home was the day I stopped believing in family loyalty. But what they discovered 6 months later when they came crawling back made them realize they had made the biggest mistake of their lives. Before we proceed, thank you for watching Granny's narrative. Please subscribe and tell us where you are watching from in the comment section. It started on a cold February morning. I was making breakfast in the kitchen of the house I had lived in for 42 years. The house where I raised Daniel. The house where my husband Thomas and I built every memory that mattered. Thomas died 3 years ago from cancer. Since then, the house felt empty, but it was still mine. It was still home. Daniel and Jessica arrived without warning. No phone call. No text message. They just showed up with hard faces and cold eyes. I remember thinking something was wrong because Daniel would not look at me. He stared at the floor like a guilty child. Jessica did all the talking. She always did. She was the kind of woman who smiled with her mouth but not her eyes. The kind who measured everything by what it could do for her. We need to talk, Margaret. Jessica said my name like it tasted bad in her mouth. She did not call me Mom anymore. That should have been my first warning. I wiped my hands on my apron and turned off the stove. Course. What is going on? Is everything okay? Daniel finally looked up. Mom, we have been thinking. Jessica is pregnant and we need more space. This house is too big for just one person. My heart stopped. I knew what was coming, but I did not want to believe it. What are you saying? Jessica crossed her arms. We are saying you need to move out. We need this house for our growing family. You can find a small apartment somewhere. Something more suitable for a woman your age. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. This is my house. Your father and I bought this house together. We raised you here, Daniel. Every corner of this place has our memories. Daniel looked away again. I know, Mom. But legally, Dad put my name on the deed years ago. That means this house is partly mine too. And right now we need it more than you do. I could not believe what I was hearing. My own son. The boy I carried for 9 months. The child I stayed up with during fevers and nightmares. The young man I supported through college. He was throwing me out. Please do not do this. I begged, and I am not ashamed to say I begged. I have nowhere to go. My pension is small. I cannot afford a decent place on my own. Jessica laughed. Actually laughed. That is not our problem, Margaret. You are a grown woman. Figure it out. We have a baby coming and we need to focus on our future. Not babysit you. Babysit me. I raised my voice for the first time. I raised Daniel by myself when Thomas was working 2 jobs. I sacrificed everything for this family. And this is how you repay me. Daniel finally spoke, but his words were worse than silence. Mom, you have always been dramatic. You will be fine. Jessica and I have made up our minds. You have 2 weeks to pack your things and leave. 2 weeks. They gave me 2 weeks to leave the home I had lived in for over 4 decades. What about all my furniture? My things? The photos? The memories? Jessica waved her hand dismissively. Take what you can fit in a small apartment. The rest stays here. We will need furniture for the baby anyway. That night I lay in bed crying until I had no tears left. I kept asking myself where I went wrong. How did I raise a son who could do this to his own mother? How did I not see the cruelty in Jessica before they got married? The next morning I started packing. What else could I do? I had no legal claim to the house. Thomas had added Daniel to the deed to make inheritance easier. We never imagined our son would use it to throw his mother into the street. I packed my entire life into 8 boxes. 8 boxes for 68 years of living. Photos of Daniel as a baby. My wedding dress. Thomas' favorite chair. My mother china. Books I had collected over the years. Everything that made me who I was fit into 8 cardboard boxes. On the day I left, Daniel and Jessica did not even show up. They sent a text message. Left the keys on the kitchen counter. That was it. No goodbye. No apology. Just a cold text message. I called a taxi and loaded my boxes. The driver was a kind older man who helped me carry everything. Where to, ma'am? I gave him the address of the only place I could afford. A weekly motel on the edge of town. The kind of place where people went when they had nowhere else to go. The motel was worse than I imagined. The room smelled like cigarettes and mold. The carpet was stained with things I did not want to think about. The bed creaked every time I moved. The bathroom had rust stains and the shower barely worked. But this was home now. This tiny, dirty room was all I had. The first week was the hardest. Barely ate. I could not afford to. My pension was $900 a month. The motel cost $200 a week. That left me with barely anything for food and basic necessities. I bought the cheapest food I could find. White bread, peanut butter, instant noodles, and soup. Sometimes I ate once a day to make the food last longer. I lost weight quickly. My clothes started hanging off my body. My face became gaunt. I looked in the mirror and did not recognize the woman staring back at me. I tried calling Daniel many times. The first few calls he answered but said he was busy. Then he stopped answering altogether. I left voicemails. I sent text messages. Nothing. It was like I no longer existed to him. I tried calling Jessica once. She answered on the third ring. "What do you want, Margaret? I just wanted to know how you are doing. How is the pregnancy going?" "The pregnancy is fine. We're doing great actually. Better than ever now that we have space and do not have to deal with your constant neediness." "I am not needy. I just wanted to be part of your lives. To be a grandmother to your child." Jessica laughed that cruel laugh again. "You think we want you around our child? You are a toxic, bitter old woman. Stay away from us. Do not call again." She hung up. I sat on the edge of the motel bed and cried until my chest hurt. The weeks turned into months. I spent my days walking around the neighborhood looking for work. But who wants to hire a 68-year-old woman with no recent job experience? I tried grocery stores, fast food restaurants, cleaning services. Everyone said the same thing. "We will call you." They never called. One afternoon I was walking past a shopping mall when I saw Jessica coming out of a baby store. Her belly was big now, maybe 6 months along. She was carrying expensive shopping bags and laughing on her phone. I should have walked away. But I could not help myself. I called out to her. "Jessica. Jessica, wait." She turned and saw me. The look on her face was not surprise or guilt. It was disgust. Pure disgust. "What are you doing here? Are you following me?" "No, I just happened to be walking by. I wanted to see how you are. How is my grandchild?" Jessica looked me up and down. I must have looked terrible. My clothes were old and stained. My hair was unwashed. I had lost so much weight that my face looked like a skull. "You look pathetic, Margaret. Absolutely pathetic. And no, you will not be part of this baby life. You are not our family anymore. You are just some desperate old woman who cannot take a hint." She walked to her car. A brand new SUV I had never seen before. Clearly they were doing well financially. They just did not want to share any of it with me. That night back in my disgusting motel room, I made a decision. I would not beg anymore. I would not humiliate myself for people who saw me as garbage. If they wanted to pretend I was dead, then I would disappear. But life had other plans. A few days later I was going through my boxes looking for a sweater. At the bottom of one box wrapped in old newspaper, I found something I had forgotten about. A stack of envelopes tied with string. They were letters. Letters in Thomas' handwriting. My hands shook as I untied the string and opened the first envelope. It was dated 2 months before Thomas died. "My dearest Margaret, if you are reading this, then I am gone. There are things I never told you. Secrets I kept because I did not want you to worry. But you need to know the truth now." Kept reading. My heart pounding so hard I thought it might break through my chest. Before we got married, I worked in commercial real estate. I was good at it. Very good. I saved every penny and bought land. Lots of land. Cheap land that nobody wanted back then because it was far from the city. I bought 15 parcels over the years. I never told you because I did not want you to worry about money or investments or any of that. I wanted you to be happy and free from stress. But Margaret, that land is worth a fortune now. The city grew. It expanded right into those areas I bought 40 years ago. There are shopping centers built on some of those parcels now. Apartment buildings on others. The value has increased 1,000 times over. All the paperwork is in a safety deposit box at Community Trust Bank. Box number 2891. The key is taped behind our wedding photo. The one in the silver frame. Margaret, you are not poor. You are wealthy. Very wealthy. I set this up so you would never have to depend on anyone after I was gone. I wanted you to be free. I know you will use this money wisely. And if anyone ever tries to hurt you or take advantage of you, remember this. You have power now. Real power. Use it to protect yourself. I love you forever, Thomas. I read the letter 3 times before it fully sank in. Then I tore apart the boxes looking for the wedding photo. I found it wrapped in bubble wrap at the bottom of the last box. I turned the frame over. There, taped to the back, was a small silver key. The next morning I took a bus to Community Trust Bank. I walked in wearing my shabby clothes and messy hair. The bank employees looked at me like I was going to rob the place. I approached the counter. I need to access a safety deposit box. Number 2891. The young woman at the counter looked skeptical. Do you have identification and the key? I handed her my driver license and the key. She checked the records and her eyes went wide. One moment please, Mrs. Margaret. She disappeared into the back and returned with a manager. The manager was a well-dressed man in his 50s. He smiled warmly. Mrs. Margaret, we have been wondering when you would come in. Your husband set up this box over 20 years ago. The fees have been paid automatically from an account he established. Please follow me. They took me to a private room and brought the safety deposit box. It was large. Much larger than I expected. The manager left me alone. I opened the box with trembling hands. Inside were folders. Dozens of folders. Each one contained property deeds, legal documents, surveys, and recent appraisals. I started going through them one by one. The first parcel was now a shopping mall. Appraised value: $4 million. The second was an apartment complex. Appraised value: $6 million. I went through every single folder. When I finished calculating the total value of all 15 parcels, I had to sit down. $23 million. Thomas had left me $23 million in real estate. I sat in that small private room and cried. Not from sadness this time. From relief. From gratitude. From love for a man who had protected me even after death. There was one more envelope in the box. This one was marked. Open only when you are ready to be the woman I always knew you were. Opened it. Margaret, by now you know about the properties. But there is more. I also set up a trust fund that has been earning interest for the past 3 years since my death. The current balance is $1.2 million. This money is yours to use immediately. I knew Daniel. I loved him, but I also knew he had weaknesses. I saw how Jessica changed him. Made him greedy and selfish. I hoped I was wrong, but I prepared for the possibility that they might try to take advantage of you after I was gone. If they did, if they hurt you, then you now have the resources to protect yourself. You also have the resources to teach them a lesson they will never forget. Do not be afraid to use your power. You earned it by being the most loving, kind, and selfless woman I ever knew. But sometimes kindness must have boundaries. Sometimes love must be tough. Make them understand what they lost when they betrayed you. I love you always, Thomas. I walked out of that bank a different woman. I went straight to a hotel. Not a motel. A real hotel. I rented a suite for a month and took the longest, hottest shower of my life. Then I went shopping. New clothes. New shoes. Hair salon. Manicure. Pedicure. Facial. I spent money on myself for the first time in months and it felt amazing. But I was not doing this just for vanity. I was doing it because I had a plan. Over the next few weeks, I met with lawyers, financial advisors, and private investigators. I wanted to know everything about Daniel and Jessica's current situation. Where they worked. How much they earned. What debts they had. Everything. The private investigator came back with interesting information. Daniel had lost his job 2 months ago. He had been fired for missing too many days and arguing with his supervisor. Jessica had quit her job to prepare for the baby. They were living entirely on credit cards and a small amount of savings. More importantly, they had taken out a second mortgage on the house to pay for renovations and the new car I had seen Jessica driving. They owed the bank almost $200,000 and were already 3 months behind on payments. They were drowning financially. And they had no idea a life raft was about to be pulled away forever. I hired the best real estate lawyer in the city. I want to buy their mortgage, I told him. He raised an eyebrow. You want to buy the debt on the house where your son lives? The house that used to be yours? Exactly. I want to become their creditor. Can you do it quietly? He smiled. I can do it very quietly. 2 weeks later, through a shell corporation I had set up, I became the owner of Daniel and Jessica Mortgage. They had no idea. To them they still owed money to the bank. But in reality they owed money to me. I also did something else. I bought the small apartment building across the street from the house. Not because I needed it, but because I wanted to be close. I wanted to watch. I moved into one of the units. 3rd floor. Corner apartment. Perfect view of the house that used to be mine. For the first month I just watched. Daniel left early every morning in cheap clothes looking defeated. He was clearly working odd jobs. Anything he could find. Jessica stayed home with her pregnant belly getting bigger every day. They argued a lot. I could hear them through the open windows on warm days. Money was always the topic. Jessica screaming about bills. Daniel yelling back that he was doing his best. One night I watched as Jessica threw a plate at Daniel. It shattered against the wall. She stormed out of the house, got in the SUV, and drove away. She came back 3 hours later with shopping bags. She was still spending money they did not have. Waited. Patience is a weapon most people do not understand. I wanted them to feel pressure, fear, desperation. The same things I felt when they threw me out. After 2 months, the collection calls started. My lawyer had instructed the collection agency to be aggressive but legal. Calls every day. Letters. Visits to the house. I watched Daniel open the mailbox one afternoon and pull out a stack of bills and collection notices. He sat on the front steps and put his head in his hands. But now he knew what helplessness felt like. Around this time I hired someone to plant a small rumor. Nothing big. Just a whisper. Did you hear? Daniel's mother is living in a penthouse downtown. I do not know how she got the money, but she is rich now. The rumor spread quickly. Small towns are like that. Everyone talks. I knew it would get back to Daniel and Jessica eventually. And I was right. One evening there was a knock on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole and smiled. It was Daniel. I opened the door but left the chain on. Yes. Mom. Mom, is that you? I looked different. Healthy. Well-dressed. My hair was styled. I had gained back the weight I lost. I looked like a woman in control of her life. I barely recognized you, he stammered. Can I come in? Why would I let you in, Daniel? Mom, please. I need to talk to you. I heard you are living well now. I heard you have money. There it was. Not an apology. Not concern for my well-being. Just interest in my money. What I have or do not have is none of your business anymore. You made that clear when you threw me out. Mom, I am sorry. We were wrong. Jessica and I have been talking and we realize we made a terrible mistake. Mistake. That is what you call destroying your mother life. A mistake. Please, Mom. We are desperate. I lost my job. We are drowning in debt. The bank is going to foreclose on the house. We have nowhere to go and the baby is coming in 2 months. I looked at him through the crack in the door. My son. The boy I had loved more than life itself. Now a stranger begging for scraps. You want my help? Yes, please. Anything. Then you need to do something for me first. Bring Jessica. Both of you come to my new address tomorrow at 2 p.m. Here is the address. I handed him a piece of paper through the gap in the door. He looked at it. This is downtown. The luxury building. That is where I live now. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. Do not be late. And Daniel, come prepared to tell me the truth. All of it. No more lies. I closed the door before he could respond. The next day I prepared carefully. I had moved into the penthouse 2 weeks earlier. It was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city. Modern furniture. Art on the walls. A chef kitchen I barely used because I preferred simple meals. But appearances mattered. This was about showing them what they had thrown away. What they could have had if they had treated me with basic human decency. At exactly 2 p.m. the doorbell rang. I opened the door fully this time. Daniel and Jessica stood there looking small and scared. Jessica was heavily pregnant now. 8 months at least. She was wearing a cheap maternity dress that had seen better days. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. No makeup. She looked exhausted. Daniel wore old jeans and a wrinkled shirt. He had dark circles under his eyes. Come in. They walked into the penthouse and stopped dead. I watched their faces as they took in the space. The view. The obvious wealth. Jessica's mouth literally dropped open. How did you get all this? Smiled. Sit down. We have a lot to discuss. They sat on the white leather couch looking completely out of place. I poured myself a glass of water from the filtered dispenser in the kitchen. I did not offer them anything. You want to know how I have all this? The answer is simple. Your father loved me. Really loved me. And he made sure I would be taken care of after he died. Dad left you money? Daniel asked. Not exactly. He left me property. Real estate. Lots of it. Worth more money than you can imagine. I watched their faces carefully. Jessica looked angry. Furious even. Daniel just looked confused. But you were living in that terrible motel. You look so poor. I was testing you, I lied smoothly. I wanted to see if you would help your mother when she had nothing. When she could not offer you anything in return. You both failed that test spectacularly. That is not fair, Jessica burst out. You should have told us you had money. Why? So you would fake kindness. Pretend to care. No thank you. At least now I know the truth. You only care about what I can give you. Not who I am. Mom, that is not true. Daniel started. I held up my hand. Do not lie to me. Not anymore. You threw me out of my home like garbage. You did not call. Did not check if I was okay. Did not care if I was eating or had a safe place to sleep. You erased me from your lives. We were stressed. Jessica tried to defend herself. The pregnancy, the money problems. We did not think. Well, you did not think. Because I was not important enough to think about. I walked to the window and looked out at the city below. Here is what is going to happen now. I own your mortgage. Did you know that? They both went pale. What do you mean you own our mortgage? Daniel whispered. I bought your debt. Through a company I own. Which means you do not owe the bank anymore. You owe me. And I can choose to forgive that debt or I can choose to foreclose and take the house. My house. The house you stole from me. Jessica started crying. Please do not take our house. We have nowhere to go. Baby. Now you are worried about having nowhere to go. Interesting. You did not worry about that when you threw me out. I turned to face them. I am not a monster. Despite what you did to me, I am still your mother, Daniel. And Jessica, whether I like it or not, you are carrying my grandchild. So here is my offer. One time only. They both leaned forward desperately. I will forgive the debt on the house. The $200,000 you owe. The house will be yours free and clear. Oh, thank you, Daniel started. I am not finished. There are conditions. What conditions? Jessica asked suspiciously. First, you will both write me a letter. Real letter. Handwritten. Explaining exactly what you did wrong and what you learned. I want details. I want honesty. I want you to really think about how you treated me. Second, you will go to every neighbor on that street. Every single one. And you will apologize for how you treated me. You will tell them the truth. That you threw your mother out. That you were cruel and heartless. That you regret it. Third, Daniel will attend financial counseling. Once a week for 6 months. I will pay for it, but you will go. You need to learn how to manage money so you do not end up in this situation again. Fourth, Jessica will write me a separate letter apologizing for the specific things she said to me, including calling me toxic and bitter. I want a real apology, not excuses. Pause. And fifth, the most important one. I get to be a grandmother. Regular visits, holidays, birthdays. I am part of this child life whether you like it or not. This is not negotiable. And if we say no, Jessica asked, her voice small, then I foreclose tomorrow. You lose the house. And I make sure Daniel cannot get a job anywhere in this city. Have connections now. Real connections. I can make your lives very difficult if I choose to. They looked at each other. They knew they had no choice. We agree, Daniel said quietly. But you have until next week to complete the first two conditions. The letters and the apologies to the neighbors. After that, we will set up the counseling and visitation schedule. They stood to leave. One more thing. I stopped them at the door. You both need to understand something. I am not doing this because I have forgiven you. I have not. I am doing this because I am choosing to be a bigger person than you were. I am choosing mercy over revenge. But this is your only chance. If you hurt me again, if you take advantage of me again, there will be no third chances. Understood. Understood, they said together. After they left, I sat in my beautiful penthouse and felt something strange. Not happiness exactly. Not satisfaction. Something more complicated. I had won. I had all the power now. But the victory felt hollow. Over the next week, I watched from my apartment across the street as Daniel and Jessica went door to door. I had people reporting back to me. They told every neighbor what they had done. They apologized publicly. Mrs. Chen from 3 houses down called me. Margaret, your son came to my door crying. Actually crying. He told me everything. How they threw you out. How wrong they were. I told him he should be ashamed. Thank you, Mrs. Chen. The letters arrived by courier. Daniel's letter was 4 pages long. Handwritten. Messy. Full of crossed-out words and tear stains. Dear Mom, I do not know how to start this letter because I do not know how to apologize for the unforgivable. What Jessica and I did to you was cruel. It was selfish. It was evil. You gave me everything. You raised me alone while Dad worked to support us. You sacrificed your dreams so I could have mine. You were always there. Every soccer game. Every school play. Every time I was sick or scared or needed someone. And when you needed me, I threw you away like you were nothing. I told myself I was doing it for my family. For Jessica and the baby. But that was a lie. I did it because I wanted the house. I wanted the space. I wanted to feel like an adult who could make decisions even if those decisions were cruel. I did not call you because I was ashamed. Every time I thought about picking up the phone, I remembered your face the day we told you to leave. I remembered how you begged. How you cried. And I could not face what I had done. Jessica and I have been fighting constantly. About money. About the baby. About everything. And in those fights, I finally understand what you must have felt. Alone. Tired. Helpless. I do not deserve your forgiveness. I do not deserve your help. But I am asking anyway because I do not know what else to do. I want my child to know their grandmother. The real you. Not the woman Jessica and I tried to pretend you were. I want them to learn from you what it means to be strong and kind and generous even when people do not deserve it. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so deeply sorry. Your son, Daniel. Jessica's letter was shorter but no less painful to read. Margaret, I have no excuses for what I said and did. Called you names. I mocked you. I treated you like you were worthless. The truth is I was jealous of you. Daniel talked about you constantly when we first met. About how strong you were. How you raised him alone. How you always put family first. I wanted him to see me that way. Put me first. So I convinced him you were a burden. I planted seeds of doubt. I made him think you were toxic and needy when you were neither of those things. I used the pregnancy as an excuse to get what I wanted. The house. The space. The control. Now I am about to become a mother myself. And I am terrified because I do not know if I can be half the mother you were. I do not know if I have that kind of strength or love or sacrifice in me. I am sorry for every cruel word. I am sorry for taking you home. I am sorry for trying to erase you from our lives. If you give me a chance, I will spend the rest of my life proving I can be better than the person I was to you. Jessica. I read both letters 3 times. Then I folded them carefully and put them in a drawer. The next day I met with my lawyer. Draw up the paperwork to forgive the mortgage debt. The house is theirs free and clear. He nodded. You are being very generous. Maybe. Or maybe I am just tired of being angry. 2 weeks later, Jessica went into labor early. Daniel called me at 3 in the morning, panicking. Mom, Jessica, water broke. We are going to the hospital. Can you come? I will be there in 20 minutes. I arrived at the hospital before they did. I waited in the maternity ward lobby. When they wheeled Jessica in, she was crying from pain and fear. I followed them to the delivery room. The nurses tried to stop me, but I looked them dead in the eye. I am the grandmother. I am going in. They let me through. The labor was long. 16 hours. I stayed the entire time. I held Jessica's hand when she screamed. I wiped her forehead with a cool cloth. I talked her through the contractions. Daniel stood on the other side looking helpless and terrified. Finally, at 11:47 p.m., my granddaughter was born. 7 pounds 3 ounces. Perfect. The nurse cleaned her and wrapped her in a pink blanket. Then she turned to Jessica. Who do you want to hold her first? Jessica was exhausted. Tears streaming down her face. She looked at me. Margaret. I want Margaret to hold her first. The nurse placed my granddaughter in my arms. She was so tiny. So perfect. She had Thomas eyes. I looked down at her and felt my heart crack open. All the anger. All the pain. All the rage. It did not disappear. But it shifted. Made room for something else. Love. What are you naming her? I whispered. Emma Margaret, Jessica said softly. After her grandmother. I started crying then. Full body sobs that I could not control. Thank you, I managed to say. Thank you. 3 months have passed since Emma was born. Daniel and Jessica kept every promise. Daniel goes to financial counseling every week. They both write me letters every month updating me on their progress and their feelings. I visit Emma 3 times a week. I babysit when they need a break. I am teaching her songs, reading her stories, showing her photos of her grandfather. Are we a family again? I do not know. The trust is broken. Maybe permanently. But we are building something new. Something honest. Daniel got a new job last month. Good pay. Benefits. He came to tell me in person. Mom, I got the job at the construction company downtown. The one you recommended me to. I did not recommend you to anyone, I lied. You got that job on your own merit. But we both knew the truth. I had made a phone call. Pulled a string. Because that is what mothers do even for children who hurt them. Jessica started therapy. Real therapy. She told me she is working through issues with her own mother. Trying to understand why she treated me the way she did. I am trying to be a better person, she told me last week. For Emma. For Daniel. And for you. I appreciate that. Last night Daniel and Jessica invited me for dinner at the house. My house. Their house. It is complicated. We sat around the table that Thomas built with his own hands. We ate spaghetti and meatballs. Emma slept in a bassinet nearby. Mom, Daniel said suddenly. I need to tell you something. What is it? When we threw you out, I convinced myself I was doing the right thing. That we needed the space. That it was practical. But the truth is I was scared. Scared of what? Of becoming you. Of sacrificing everything like you and Dad did. Of being poor. Of struggling. I thought if I took the house I could avoid that. I thought I could build a better life. He looked down at his plate. But I was wrong. The better life was not the house. It was you. Your strength. Your values. Your love. And I threw it away because I was a coward. I reached across the table and took his hand. You are not a coward anymore. You are learning. You are growing. That is enough. Jessica spoke up. Margaret, I know I do not deserve to ask this, but can I ask you something? What? How did you survive those months? When we threw you out? When you had nothing? How did you keep going? I thought about it carefully. I survived because I realized something important. My worth was never about what I could give people. It was never about the house or the money or the sacrifices. My worth comes from who I am. And nobody can take that away. Not even my own son. Jessica wiped her eyes. I want Emma to learn that. To know her worth is not in what she has but who she is. Then teach her that. Be that example for her. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. Emma woke up and started fussing. I picked her up and rocked her gently. Little one, I whispered. Your grandmother is going to teach you something. People will hurt you in life. Even people you love. But you survive by knowing yourself. By being strong. By choosing when to fight and when to forgive. I looked at Daniel and Jessica. And sometimes you survive by being clever. By using your resources. By making sure people understand there are consequences for cruelty. Daniel smiled. You taught us that lesson well, Mom. Yes, I did. Later that night I returned to my penthouse. I stood at the window looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Daniel and Jessica were putting Emma to bed in the house that had caused so much pain. But the house was not the point. Never was. The point was power. Not over them. But over my own life. Over my own destiny. Thomas had given me that power. He had protected me even after death. And I had used it exactly as he hoped I would. To defend myself. To teach a lesson. To survive. But also to love. Because in the end that is what mothers do. We love even when it hurts. Even when we should not. Even when we swore we never would again. I picked up my phone and sent Daniel a text message. Thank you for dinner. It was nice. Let me know when you want to bring Emma over. I have some new books for her. His response came immediately. Thank you for everything, Mom. Love you. Type back slowly. I love you too. Always have. Always will. And that was the truth. Despite everything. Despite the pain. Despite the betrayal. I still loved my son. But I also loved myself. And that was the real lesson Thomas taught me. The following weeks brought more changes. I decided to sell some of the properties Thomas had left me. Not all of them. Just enough to create something meaningful. I met with my financial advisor on a Tuesday morning. His name was Richard and he had been helping me manage the properties since I discovered them. Mrs. Margaret, you have called this meeting to discuss selling some assets. I want to sell 3 of the properties. The shopping mall and 2 of the smaller parcels. May I ask why? Those are excellent investments. They generate significant rental income. I have a different plan for the money. He waited for me to continue. I want to start a foundation. A charity that helps older women who have been abandoned by their families. Women who end up homeless or in terrible situations because the people they sacrificed for turned their backs on them. Richard smiled. That is a beautiful idea. How much are you thinking of allocating? I want to start with $5 million. Use the money from the property sales and add some from my personal accounts. $5 million is substantial. You could help a lot of women with that amount. That is the point. I do not want other women to suffer like I did. I do not want them to feel worthless and alone. I want them to know someone cares. Over the next month, I worked with lawyers and accountants to establish the Margaret Thomas Foundation. We set up programs for housing assistance, job training, legal aid, and counseling for older women in crisis. The foundation opened quietly. I did not want publicity. This was not about recognition. It was about making a difference. Our first client was a woman named Patricia. She was 71 years old. Her son and his wife had taken over her house and thrown her out. Sound familiar? Patricia came to our office wearing clothes that had not been washed in weeks. She was thin and scared. She reminded me of myself 6 months earlier. I sat down with her personally. Patricia, my name is Margaret. I run this foundation. Tell me what happened. She told me her story. It was almost identical to mine. A loving mother. Selfish son. A cruel daughter-in-law. Betrayal and abandonment. When she finished, I took her hand. You're going to be okay. We are going to help you. First, we are getting you into a safe apartment. Clean. Comfortable. Affordable. Second, we are connecting you with a lawyer who will review your property rights. Third, you are going to start counseling to help you process this trauma. Patricia started crying. Why are you doing this for me? You do not even know me. Because someone should have done it for me. Because you deserve dignity and respect. Because you are not alone anymore. We helped Patricia get back on her feet. Within 3 months, she had a nice apartment. Her lawyer had recovered some of her assets, and she was attending support groups with other women who had been through similar experiences. One day she came to my office with a gift. A small potted plant. Margaret, I do not have much. But I wanted to give you something to say thank you. You saved my life. Hugged her. You saved your own life, Patricia. You were strong enough to ask for help. That takes courage. Word spread about the foundation. We started receiving calls from all over the city. Then from other cities. Then from other states. Women who had been abandoned. Women who had been abused. Women who had been told they were worthless. They all came to us looking for help. We helped them all. Every single one. I hired a staff of social workers, lawyers, and counselors. People who genuinely cared about our mission. People who understood that older women deserved respect and dignity. The foundation became my purpose. My reason for waking up every morning. Meanwhile, my relationship with Daniel and Jessica continued to evolve. It was not perfect. There were still difficult moments. Still tensions. One afternoon Jessica called me upset. Margaret, can you come over? I need to talk to someone. I drove to the house. Jessica was sitting on the front porch holding Emma. She had been crying. What is wrong? Feel like I am failing. Everything. Being a mother. Being a wife. Being a decent person. I sat down beside her. Why do you feel that way? Because every time I look at Emma, I think about how I treated you. How I kicked you out when you needed us most. And I am terrified I am going to mess her up the way my mother messed me up. This was the first time Jessica had mentioned her own mother in any meaningful way. Tell me about your mother. Jessica took a deep breath. My mother was cold. Critical. Nothing I did was ever good enough. When I told her I was pregnant, do you know what she said? She said I was making a mistake. That I was not ready to be a mother. That I would probably ruin the child life. I am sorry she said that to you. When I met Daniel and he talked about you all the time, about how supportive and loving you were, I hated it. I hated that he had a mother who actually cared. So I convinced him you were the problem. I made him see you the way I saw my own mother. That must have been painful. For both of us. I am trying to break that cycle. I do not want to be like my mother. I do not want Emma to feel about me the way I feel about my own mom. Then do not be like her. Be different. Be better. You have that choice. How do I do that? Start by forgiving yourself. You made terrible mistakes. You hurt me deeply. But you are trying to make it right. That counts for something. Jessica wiped her eyes. Can I ask you something? Anything. How do you forgive someone when they do not deserve it? I thought about that question for a long time. You forgive them because holding on to anger hurts you more than it hurts them. You forgive them because you want peace. But forgiveness does not mean forgetting. Does not mean letting them hurt you again. It means releasing the poison so you can heal. Jessica nodded slowly. I want Emma to know you. The real you. Not the version I made up in my head. I want her to learn from you. Then let her. Be open to that. That evening Daniel came home from work. He looked tired but happier than I had seen him in months. Mom, you are still here. But I wanted to talk to both of you. He sat down at the kitchen table. Jessica and I joined him. I have been thinking a lot about what happened. About how we treated Mom. About how we almost destroyed our family because of greed and selfishness. He looked at me. Mom, you gave us a second chance we did not deserve. You forgave a debt we could never repay. You welcomed us back into your life even after we threw you away. I did not say anything. Just listened. I want to do something to make it right. Not because I think I can erase what we did. But because I want Emma to grow up seeing her father try to be a better man. What did you have in mind? I want to volunteer at your foundation. Whatever you need. Cleaning. Paperwork. Maintenance. Driving women to appointments. Anything. I want to give back the way you give back. I was surprised. Genuinely surprised. Daniel, you have a full-time job. You have a baby at home. You do not have time for volunteer work. I will make time. 1 day a week. That is all I am asking. Let me be part of what you are building. I looked at Jessica. She was nodding. I want to help too, Jessica said. Maybe I can organize donations. Or help with fundraising. I worked in event planning before Emma was born. I could use those skills. Why do you want to do this? Because we need to, Jessica said simply. We need to understand what you went through. We need to see the faces of other women we could have become if you had not been strong enough to survive. I felt tears in my eyes. I would like that. And so they started volunteering. Daniel came every Saturday. He did maintenance work on the apartments we rented for our clients. He drove women to doctor appointments and legal consultations. He helped move furniture and fix broken things. Jessica organized a fundraising gala that raised over $200,000 for the foundation. She worked tirelessly calling donors, coordinating vendors, managing all the details. I watched them both transform. Slowly, gradually, they were becoming people I could be proud of. One Saturday I was at one of our foundation apartments helping a new client named Helen move in. Daniel was there installing a safety rail in the bathroom. Helen was 69 years old. Her daughter had stolen her savings and kicked her out. She had been living in her car for 3 weeks before she found us. Is that your son? Helen asked me, watching Daniel work. That is Daniel. You are lucky. My daughter wants nothing to do with me. I looked at Daniel. We have a complicated history. But we are working through it. After Helen was settled, Daniel and I sat on the apartment steps taking a break. Mom, can I tell you something? Course. When I am here, helping these women, I see you in every one of them. I see the pain we caused you. The fear. The hopelessness. And it makes me sick. I put my hand on his shoulder. But that means you are learning empathy. That means you are growing. Do you think you will ever fully forgive us? I'm working on it. Some days are easier than others. But Daniel, forgiveness is not a destination. It is a journey. And we are on that journey together. He nodded. That is enough for me. Months passed. The foundation grew. We helped over 100 women in the first year. Each one had a story that broke my heart. Each one reminded me why this work mattered. Emma turned 1 year old. We had a small party at the house. Just family. Daniel, Jessica, me, and a few close friends. I watched Emma take her first wobbly steps. Everyone cheered. She fell down and laughed. Got up and tried again. She is determined, I said to Jessica. She gets that from her grandmother. Smiled. Both of them actually. You are stronger than you think, Jessica. I am trying to be. For her. And for myself. That evening after everyone left, I helped Jessica clean up. We worked in comfortable silence for a while. Then Jessica stopped and turned to me. Margaret, I need to say something. What is it? When we threw you out, I thought we were winning. I thought we had everything we needed. A house, a space, our future. But we had nothing. We were empty and broken and cruel. You lost your way. It happens. You gave us a map back. You could have destroyed us. You had every right. But instead you showed us mercy. You taught us what real strength looks like. I was just protecting myself. Well, you were being a mother. The kind of mother I want to be. I hugged her then. Really hugged her. For the first time since they threw me out, I felt like maybe we could be family again. Not the old family. Something new. Something better. 2 years after that terrible day when they threw me out, I stood in front of a crowd at our foundation annual fundraiser. Over 300 people had come. Donors, volunteers, clients, supporters. I stepped up to the microphone. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. Thank you all for being here tonight. 2 years ago, I was at the lowest point of my life. I had been abandoned by the people I loved most. I was living in a terrible motel, eating 1 meal a day, wondering if anyone would care if I disappeared. The room was silent, everyone listening. But I survived. Not because I was special. Not because I was stronger than anyone else. but because I refused to believe that my worth was determined by how other people treated me. I started this foundation because I met too many women who believed they were worthless, who believed they deserved to be abandoned, who believed they had nothing left to offer the world. I want every woman here tonight to know something. You are valuable. You are worthy. You deserve respect and dignity and love. And if the people in your life cannot see that, then the problem is with them, not with you. The crowd stood and applauded. I saw Daniel and Jessica in the front row, both of them crying. After the event, a young woman approached me. She looked to be in her 30s. Mrs. Margaret, my name is Sarah. I wanted to thank you. Did we help you through the foundation? Not me. My mother. You helped my mother 3 months ago. Her name is Patricia. Patricia. Yes, I remember her well. Because of you, she got her life back. She has an apartment. She has her dignity. She has hope. And because of that, I realized what I had done to her. How I had failed her. What did you do? I let my husband convince me that my mother was a burden, that we did not have room for her in our lives. I stood by while he kicked her out. I did not defend her. I did not help her. Sarah was crying now. But seeing what you did for her, seeing how you treated her with respect when her own daughter did not, it woke me up. My husband and I are in counseling now. And I am rebuilding my relationship with my mom. Hug Sarah. That is all any of us can do. Admit our mistakes and try to do better. Thank you for giving her hope. And for showing me what kind of daughter I should be. After Sarah left, Daniel came over. Mom, that was an incredible speech. Thank you. You have helped so many people. You have turned your pain into something beautiful. I did not do it alone. You and Jessica have been part of this. You have helped too. He smiled. We are trying. Every day we are trying. That is enough. Later that night I returned to my penthouse. I poured a glass of wine and stood at the window looking out at the city. My phone buzzed. Text from Jessica. Thank you for being the grandmother Emma needs. And the mother-in-law I did not deserve but somehow got anyway. We love you. Texted back. I love you too. All 3 of you. I thought about Thomas. About the letters he left me. About how he protected me even after death. About how he gave me the tools to survive and the courage to fight back. Thomas, I whispered into the empty room. I hope I made you proud. I hope you know I used your gift wisely. Not just for revenge, but for healing, for helping others, for building something good from something terrible. The city lights twinkled below. Somewhere out there were women who needed help. Women who felt worthless and alone. Women who did not know yet that they had value. Tomorrow I would help them. Just like I had been helped. Just like I had helped myself. 'Cause that is what survivors do. We heal. We grow. We reach back and pull others up with us. I finished my wine and went to bed. For the first time in years I slept peacefully. No nightmares. No anger. No fear. Just peace. The next morning I woke up early. I had a meeting with a potential donor who wanted to expand the foundation to other states. This was exciting but also terrifying. More locations meant more women helped but also more responsibility. I dressed carefully. Professional but approachable. I wanted to look like someone you could trust with both money and dreams. The meeting was at a downtown restaurant. The donor was a woman named Catherine. She was in her 70s, elegant and sharp. Margaret, I have been following your work for months now. What you have built is remarkable. Thank you. We are just trying to help women who have been forgotten. I want to help you expand. I am prepared to donate $10 million to open branches in 5 major cities. I almost dropped my coffee. $10 million. Catherine smiled. I was once where your clients are. Abandoned. Alone. Broken. Someone helped me. Now I want to pay it forward. What happened to you? If you do not mind me asking. My children put me in a nursing home against my will. They sold my house and kept the money. I had no say in any of it. A kind social worker helped me escape and get legal representation. I got my money back and cut my children out of my life completely. I am sorry that happened to you. Do not be sorry. Taught me who I really was. And it showed me what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. Help other women find their strength. We shook hands. Partners in healing. Partners in justice. Over the next year we opened branches in 5 cities. Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, Denver, Seattle. Each location helped hundreds of women. Each location changed lives. I traveled to each city for the openings. I met the women we were helping, heard their stories, held their hands, cried with them. Every single one of them reminded me of myself. Of that terrible day when I had nothing. When I felt worthless. When I wanted to give up. But none of them gave up. And neither did I. 3 years after they threw me out, Daniel and Jessica invited me to Sunday dinner. This had become our tradition. Every Sunday we gathered as a family. Emma was 3 now. Talking in full sentences. Full of energy and questions. Grandma, why do you help sad ladies? Because everyone deserves help when they are sad, sweetheart. Even people who are mean. I looked at Daniel and Jessica. Even people who make mistakes. Are mommy and daddy mean? Jessica tensed. Emma, that is not. I interrupted. Your mommy and daddy made some mistakes a long time ago. But they learned from those mistakes. They became better people. And that is what matters. Emma thought about this seriously. I'm going to be good like you, Grandma. I kissed her forehead. You are already good, sweet girl. After dinner, Daniel asked if he could talk to me privately. We went to the backyard. Mom, Jessica and I have been talking. We want to do something important. What is it? We want to sign the house over to you. Legally. Completely. No strings attached. I was shocked. Daniel, that is not necessary. I forgave that debt years ago. We know. But we need to do this. This house should be yours. It always should have been yours. We took it from you and that was wrong. We want to make it right. Where will you live? Jessica got a promotion. I'm doing well at work. We can afford to buy our own place. A place we earned ourselves. Not something we stole from you. I felt tears coming. You do not have to do this. Yes, we do. Please, Mom. Let us give you back what we took. I agreed. 2 weeks later we met with lawyers and signed the paperwork. The house was mine again. Fully. Legally. Completely. But I did not move back in. That house held too many painful memories. Instead, I decided to donate it to the foundation. We turned it into a transitional home for women who needed temporary housing while they got back on their feet. Daniel and Jessica bought a smaller house 3 blocks away. I helped them with the down payment. Not because I had to. 'Cause I wanted to. They were building their own life now. The right way. With honesty and hard work and respect. I attended the open house for the transitional home. The first residents moved in that day. 5 women who had nowhere else to go. I walked through the rooms remembering. This was where Thomas and I had our first Christmas. This was where Daniel learned to ride a bike in the driveway. This was where I had cried when they told me to leave. But now it was something new. A place of healing. Place of hope. One of the new residents, a woman named Gloria, found me in the kitchen. Is this really your house? You are giving it to us. It is your house now. For as long as you need it. Why would you do that? Because I know what it feels like to have nowhere to go. And I never want another woman to feel that way if I can help it. Gloria hugged me tight. You are an angel. I am not an angel. I am just a woman who survived and decided to help others survive too. 5 years after that terrible February morning, I stood at Thomas' grave. I had not been there in months. Too busy with the foundation. Too busy with life. I placed fresh flowers on his headstone. Hello, my love. I have so much to tell you. I sat on the grass and talked to him like he could hear me. Maybe he could. Maybe he could not. Did not matter. I needed to say the words. Thomas, you saved me. Not just with the money. But with your belief that I was strong enough to use it wisely. You knew I would need it. You knew Daniel might fail me. And you prepared for it. A breeze rustled through the trees. I used your gift the way you hoped I would. I protected myself. I taught our son a lesson. But I also forgave. I also showed mercy. 'Cause that is what love does. I wiped my eyes. The foundation has helped over 500 women now. 500 women who were abandoned and broken and hopeless. We gave them housing, legal help, job training, counseling. We gave them back their dignity. Pause. And Daniel is a good father. He learned. He grew. He is not perfect, but he is trying. That is enough. I stood to leave but turned back one more time. Thank you for loving me enough to protect me. Thank you for knowing me well enough to know I would do the right thing. Thank you for being the kind of man who built a future for his wife even when he would not be there to share it. I walked back to my car feeling lighter, freer. That evening I was working in my home office when my phone rang. It was a number I did not recognize. Hello, Mrs. Margaret. This is Linda Chen. You helped my sister Patricia 2 years ago. Yes, I remember Patricia. How is she? She is wonderful, thriving. And she wanted me to call you because I need help now. What happened? My son and his wife. She started crying. They kicked me out. Took my savings. I have nowhere to go. Closed my eyes. Another one. Another woman betrayed by her own child. Linda, where are you right now? I am at a bus station. I do not know what to do. I am sending someone to pick you up. Do not move. You're going to be okay. I made the calls. Got Linda into one of our apartments. Connected her with a lawyer. Set up counseling. Another life saved. Another woman given a second chance. This was my purpose now. This was what I was meant to do. I thought about that terrible February morning 5 years ago. How my son and daughter-in-law stood in my kitchen and told me I had to leave. How they made me feel worthless and discarded. If I could go back and change it, would I? The answer surprised me. No. Because that pain taught me who I really was. It forced me to find strength I did not know I had. Showed me my purpose. I would not wish that suffering on anyone. But I also would not trade who I became because of it. That night I video called with Emma. She was in her pajamas holding a stuffed bear. Grandma, I drew you a picture today at school. Did you? What is it? It is you helping the sad ladies. See, that is you with the big smile. And those are all the ladies you make happy. It is beautiful, sweetheart. I love it. Teacher says you are a hero. I am not a hero. I am just someone who cares. Mommy says heroes are people who help when no one else will. That is you. After we hung up, I thought about what Emma said. Maybe she was right. Maybe heroism is not about being perfect. It is about surviving your own pain and then reaching back to help others survive theirs. 10 years after they threw me out, the foundation had helped over 3,000 women. We had branches in 15 cities. We had a staff of 200 people. We had changed laws and policies. We had given voices to the voiceless. I was 78 years old now. Still healthy. Still active. Still working every day. Daniel and Jessica were strong. Their marriage had survived. Emma was 13 and volunteering at the foundation on weekends. They had another child now. A son named Thomas. My grandson. My second chance to watch a child grow up with values and love. One evening the foundation threw a party for my 78th birthday. Over 500 people came. Clients, staff, donors, volunteers, family. They presented me with a video. Testimonials from women we had helped over the years. Each one telling their story. Each one thanking me for saving their life. I watched through tears. So many faces. So many stories. So many lives changed. At the end of the video, Patricia appeared. The first woman we had helped. Margaret, you gave me my life back when I had nothing. You showed me I was worth saving. You proved that one person can make a difference. Thank you for being that person. Thank you for being you. The room erupted in applause. Daniel and Jessica stood beside me. Emma and Thomas ran up to hug me. This is my family now. Not just blood relatives, but everyone in this room. Everyone we had helped. Everyone who believed in our mission. Later that night, alone in my penthouse, I opened my laptop. I had been writing my story for months. Documenting everything that happened. The betrayal. The survival. The revenge. The forgiveness. The healing. I wanted other women to know they could survive too. That betrayal was not the end. That pain could become purpose. I typed the final words of my story. And I hope my story gives someone else the courage to keep going when they want to give up. Because you are stronger than you know. You are worth more than anyone told you. And your story is not over yet. I saved the document. My story. My truth. My life. Tomorrow I would continue the work. More women to help. More lives to change. More hope to give. But tonight I would rest. Knowing I had done what Thomas hoped I would do. Knowing I had turned pain into purpose. Knowing I had survived and helped others survive too. That is what it means to be truly wealthy. Not money in the bank. But lives changed. Love given. Hope restored. I walked to the window one last time. The city stretched out below me. Millions of lights. Millions of stories. Millions of people trying to survive. And somewhere out there, another woman was facing her own terrible moment. Her own betrayal. Her own pain. But maybe, just maybe, she would find us. She would walk through our doors. And we would tell her the truth. You are not alone. You are not worthless. You are not finished. You are just beginning. And that is the most powerful thing anyone can hear when they have lost everything. You are just beginning.